Welcome to the UNLOQ podcast, an innovative approach for human development. My name is Amanda, and today I am joined by Mariska Cornelissen, published author, UNLOQ associate, and expert on how to avoid leading to burnout. Mariska, can you briefly introduce yourself?
Hi, Amanda. Thank you for inviting me. It's very lovely to be here. And I introduce myself a little bit more. I'm from the Netherlands. I'm working as coach for UNLOQ. And I wrote 3 years ago the book in Dutch. It is called Nog niet gevloerd. And I was thinking, what was the right title in English? And I'm thinking I take it a little bit positive, something like "Still on your feet, not ready to have a burnout yet. What to do?"
There we go, exactly. Thank you, Mariska, and thank you for accepting our invitation. And that is precisely why you're here. A lot of people have heard about burnout, but I would like to know like a very brief definition of what actually is considered a burnout.
Yes, well, there are a lot of definitions about burnout, but there is not enough research done about burnout. So I was guided by the guideline the clinical world of the Netherlands made of burnout, and they say the following: we see burnout as a form of overstrain, where mental and physical symptoms as tiredness and irritability, that's a difficult word to struggle with, are occurring for more than 6 months, and where the level of stress is so high that it is obstructing your work and your relationship with other people. So that is what I was guided by with my book. And in my book, I thought I examined the period before that you get a burnout and you can't do anything more than cry or sit on the bank or stay in your bed or something. And what I was interested in is what is going on in the couple of months before that you get the burnout. So get some insights and maybe help you to avoid a burnout.
Yeah, avoiding a burnout must be important, especially because since the world got extremely digital and extremely flexible in that sense, a lot of people have experienced burnout, especially since 2020. Like I've seen the numbers increase, and that's been an ongoing topic in different workplaces, and I think it's important that we address it. So what are the most common what are the most common indicators of either leading myself to burnout or just spotting that someone might be leading themselves to burnout?
Yes. Yeah, what I did was I talked to people who had a burnout, and I went with them back in time to the time where they were still on their feet, but the burnout was coming soon. And I asked them, what do you consider the signs that you then ignored, but now you know that were the signs that the burnout was coming? And what they say was that I have made a list of it because there were a lot of signs. The signs were, of course, tiredness, and muscle strain, being exhausted, headache, hunger, not sleeping well, not being able to concentrate, and also not regular heartbeats. I don't know what the word is in English.
Yeah,
like that and that is the physical signs, but also the psychological and mental signs, like feeling less, feeling of inferiority, and feeling alone, worry, ruminate, not feeling enough, only to have the desire for rest and peace, lack of self-confidence, chaos thinking in your head, creating smaller worlds, and also towards other people, being snappy, getting cynical, or turning into yourself inwards, getting out of context, getting more formal, want to solve it, doing it all by yourself, don't ask for help. Well, a lot of things, being critical, getting nothing done, and don't accept advices of other people. So getting inwards is, and that are the signs. But I talked to 6 people and I talked to them for a long time, and that were the signs they have been given, and they look like the signs of the officially mental health organization in the Netherlands. So that is what they come up with.
Yeah, thank you for your answer. So I'm connecting this to the definition that you mentioned before. So this means these people were experiencing all of these symptoms, both physically and mentally, for 6 months. Can it?
Yeah.
But some people like overextend that period. Some people just like keep repeating these behaviors and keep going forward with like not listening to other people, not having enough rest, not eating enough, or eating or overeating. So what are signs that they used to see in that sense that now they no longer, like, that they identified and now they no longer support or indulge in their lives? Are they like now more conscious and they think that they can let this go? And these signs, like what are these signs that they have actually let go of? Or like maybe
Well, what I did is listing those signs, and what I did is I talked with them about what do you think what was the reason that you ignored those signs. Now you are recovered from burnout, and you look back, and because when you feel exhausted or you feel tired, well, the logical thing to do is get some rest. and that is obviously why won't you do that? Because that is what you need, but there is something going on what makes you go on. And that is what I was thinking. And when I asked them that question, why did you go on and didn't stop? And then they said, well, I think when I stop, then I'm not good enough. So mainly the perfectionism is a mechanism that keeps them go on and on and on until your body says stop.
Yeah, is there like, I was gonna ask there, like, is there any, what has been like the indicator that led them to recognize that they were led to burnout besides this sign? Like, what was the tip of the iceberg there? What was the turning point where they decided, if I continue to go like this, it's not sustainable?
Yes, but that they didn't. So they had a burnout.
Okay.
So and now they are thinking that is something I won't let me have again. And but it was interesting, and that is when you work in an organization and you feel the tiredness yourself. That is why I wrote this book, to help people who are now struggling with all those signs. And also the sign that is the difficult one, that you don't want to have advice. So another person can tell you, oh, I see you're struggling, I see that you are tired, maybe you have to give yourself some rest. And then you think, well, no, I'm good enough, I'm keep on going. So that's a difficult one. So it's difficult when you have those signs. We all, it's the week before Christmas, so we all know that this period is such a busy period, and we know, oh well, another couple of days and then we are underneath the Christmas tree, and then we can let go of everything. So you keep on going, and hopefully you have a week off, and then you have the rest you need. But in the people who are getting these signs and ignore it, they always think, oh, when there is a weekend, I can get some sleep and I can recover. But if that keeps ongoing for a long time, then there is not much energy left to recover. So you can't, even though you notice the signs, it's such difficult to get out of it by yourself. And that is why I wrote this book, not only for the people who are suffering and recognizing these signs, but also for their managers and their leaders. Because if you have a good relationship with your manager, when you have the climate and the culture where you can talk to each other openly, then you as a leader and as a manager can make a difference, because to really have the difficult conversation and have those connection with your employee.
Yeah, so why do you think people ignore these signs of burnout instead, like to decide to eventually, people ignore these signs? Like, can you tell me, maybe from a perspective of both a leader and like employees, like why are they ignoring these signs when they're obviously seeing that they're leading?
Yes, I think that is what I am explain in my book. It's the relation between stress and shame. As you know, I work with the research of Brené Brown. And what I do in my book is to make a connection between the stress overload and what is called shame. And what I found really interesting is that if you are exposed to stress, then and for a longer period of time, then your brain doesn't work effectively anymore, because of the well, it's a bit complicated explanation, but the parts in your brains which you can have structure in your life and see reality in what is not real, what is real. That doesn't work anymore effectively, and it increases the emotion part and the negative emotion, and there we come to shame, because shame is a negative emotion. And when you are exposed for a longer time for stress, then also the shame feeling is growing. And shame is the painful feeling that you are not enough and that you are not worthy of love and belonging. That is the definition by Brené Brown, and that is what I combined. So if you are exposed for a longer period of stress, then also that increases shame, and that is the trigger why you don't pull yourself together and say logical things like, oh, I'm overwhelmed, I'm stressful, I need some time to rest. No, then, oh, now everybody sees I'm not good enough. I have to go on, I have to do it perfectly. So otherwise I am not worthy of, I'm not enough. That is the combination.
Wow, that is so insightful, and especially because it's so well connected to the season that we're now having, which is the holiday season, which you mentioned prior to this question, and I find that connection so important to be aware of, especially on the holiday season where we have to work and we want to overwork because we want to finish the year strong and all these things that we tell ourselves, but we don't recognize that we are unconsciously like setting ourselves up for failure, right? Because we're like saying, oh, it's the end of the year, I gotta finish strong. You can finish, like work will still be there, your family, your life will still be there, so it doesn't matter if you push it back for 1 day or 1 week. If you need the time to get some rest, it's still going to be there. There's still going to be more work to do tomorrow. And yeah, I once read, like, once you get over like work never being finished, you're going to be fine, because you will always have more work the next day. If not, we would work for a week and never again, right? So it's kind of like recognizing these signs to be a bit more aware. So self-awareness plays a huge role here, like being conscious of what are the decisions that you're making and where are those decisions leading you, whether it's a burnout or hopefully a better situation. So how can we reduce in both a personal and professional way, how could we reduce the risk of like the risk of leading to burnout?
Yes, well, I think being aware of those shame triggers, and see the difference between shame and guilt, for example. So that is some part of what is Brene Brown saying is very strong. I think that you see the difference between shame and guilt, as you were explaining, that for failure, we all are anxious that we fail, and we want to avoid that. But if you can say, well, I did something bad, I'm not bad, but I did something bad, I made a failure, I'm not a failure. If you can see that difference, that will help. And I call myself an imperfectionist, so I think it helps when you see yourself as an authentic, imperfect person, and that is being human. So we all make mistakes, and we all know, if we talk about mistakes, we all say to each other, it's good to make mistakes because we learn from the mistakes. So keep that in mind, and live by it, that it's not you are a failure, but you made a failure. And the best thing you get out of it, that you learn from that, and other people learn also from that. That is something, see that perfectionism is a mechanism that burns you out, really, because there is never an end to perfectionism. There is always something or someone who is better than you. And if you always want to achieve that, then you have a huge lack of energy. What can I say? Your authentic, imperfect self is worth for being here. So it's the uniqueness that makes the world a more rich world. So that would I say, and to be very aware and have a clear vision of your values. Your values is also living by your values can also give you meaning to life and meaning to your work. And so be aware of that, and have compassion for yourself. That's very important. So talk to yourself as you would talk to your loved ones. If you make a failure, it makes a difference.
We have to learn indeed to be a little bit more compassionate with ourselves, because we are always our hardest critics. So thank you for that reminder. Would you say that pre-burnout, like the pre-burnout stage, is easy to identify, or can it be like passive and unnoticeable?
Yes, what I saw with the people I interviewed, it is very difficult for yourself to identify, and that's why I also wrote a chapter especially for leaders and managers to be aware of the signals and always be in dialogue with each other, and have the courage to also have the conversations which are difficult, and which is about emotions. But it was really interesting. All the people I interviewed, which had had a burnout, and I asked them, what would be your advice to leaders and managers to do when you see someone struggling, and then all the people said, ask how are they doing, but not just the question, how are you doing, but really, how are you doing, and take the time to listen to the answer and go in connection with each other.
Yeah, and I think that is very important to build that relationship, so employees can feel comfortable to go to their
yes, that is very important.
So they can go to their superiors and be like, okay, this is what happened and it's fine, we can move forward because I feel comfortable and I feel like we have created this safe space to actually be able and open to communicate. So
yes, the safe space is very important. Yes.
So what would be your recommendations or critical practices to avoid burnout?
Well, take care of yourself. That's the first one. But work on your self-compassion. See that what I just said. Talk to yourself like you would talk to someone you love. Does the self-friendly be self-friendly and not self-critical? Know that you are not the only one. And I would say to leaders and managers, really ask how they are doing, how are your people doing, and take the time and create a safe space to have those difficult and connective conversations.
So could you add a personal experience you have had in the pre-burnout stage?
Well, if you mean that, in my book, I also write about my own experience. That was, I think now 10 years ago, I didn't have the diagnosed burnout, but when I talked to the people I interviewed, I definitely had a burnout, and it was very interesting to see that the struggles they have experienced that were also my struggles, and I really had a good conversation with the leader and my employer back then, and that helped me a lot. So I think from my personal experience, I can say a good conversation, good dialogue, a culture where there is open communication with your team, with your employer, that can make definitely the difference.
Well, thank you so much for sharing all of these wonderful and valuable information. So in summary, I think we can keep that, let's embrace being our imperfect and wonderful selves, to just kind of understand that everything can be moved for tomorrow, that we have to be more compassionate with ourselves, and then we need to create, as leaders, spaces where our employees feel comfortable coming forward and saying that they're feeling overwhelmed or feeling very tired, or what is going on in their heads or in their lives that's making them or leading them to a burnout stage. Would you like to add anything more?
Well, no, I want to emphasize be your wonderful, imperfect, authentic self. That is my wish for 2023 for everybody.
And we love that. We love that because that will make you indeed a less stressed and person that will be less likely to lead to burnout. So thank you so much once again for accepting our invitation, Mariska. Thank you so much for joining us in this amazing and insightful conversation on the pre-burnout stages with Mariska Cornelissen. You can always look up for more information on unlock.org, UNLOQ.org. And to our listeners, stay tuned as we continue to unlock human potential.